it is time for Hot Take and Debate.
Zach Ertz finishes outside the top 12 of fantasy tight ends.
Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys will not be a top 10 running back in fantasy 2020.
DeAndre Hopkins will not be a top 8 receiver.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the WNP podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson. And joining me today, as always, for the first time in a long time, Chase Crawshaw. How you doing today?
Doing pretty swell. We're here in person, which is
unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Sure. Well, it is unfortunate with how hot this room is. It is miserable. But, it's I guess it's okay to see your ugly face. But how you doing?
Well, that hurts. That hurts for sure. I'm doing well. And joining us today, we have Alec and Graham. Alec, how are you today?
I am dandy.
Great. And then Graham, finally, how are you yourself?
I am doing absolutely perfect. Thank you for asking, Mike.
Awesome. So, yeah, it's been a little while since we've done a sports episode. Today, we're doing a football episode, kind of. It's a hot takes based off of fantasy football. If you're a big fantasy football fan, this is the episode for you guys. But first, we got to talk a little bit of news that's happening around the NFL right now. First up, we see that Dak Prescott finally signs his franchise tag. Him and the Cowboys are still working on a deal. But right now, he signs the franchise tag. It has him just over $31 million for this upcoming season. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Dak should have signed the franchise tag? Maybe the Cowboys should have just moved on and kept with Andy Dalton because obviously he's going to be the starter. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll ask Chase first.
So, I don't think Dak is anything special of a quarterback. I think he's fine enough if the team's good enough around him to help you win a championship, but he's not going to be the guy that puts you over the edge. Like, really, the guy that puts you over the edge on that team is Zeke. It's pretty clear. Without Zeke, if they had like a lesser running game, you would really see the flaws in Dak Prescott's passing game. But, since they have all those options, makes teams guess a little more. So, he's good enough. He's worth the payday for the Cowboys. But on another team or in another situation, I wouldn't say he's worth it.
I agree to an extent, but I think $31 million is a lot for a backup. Just kidding. But in all fairness, I mean, in all fairness, I'm not a huge Dak Prescott fan like I was when he first came out. I thought it was a great story that he ended up starting so fast. But I don't think he deserves to be one of the top 2 paid quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think that maybe after this franchise tag is up, they should move on, try to find something else, or maybe see if he's willing to take less money because I don't think he deserves to be up there for the highest paid quarterbacks in football.
I mean, they already got their redhead there in Andy Dalton. I mean, who knows, maybe he's a starter after this year. What are your thoughts on that redhead, Graham?
Well, I obviously have a ton of confidence in the redheads, especially ones that, don't wear glasses and like all that jazz. They're handsome. Andy Dalton's one of the most handsome redheads I know, and that's including myself. So, but that's besides the fact. I think Dak Prescott really had no other option. I think that he is inflating his sense of himself beyond what the Cowboys can even comprehend. So I think they weren't even close on a number for a new contract for him. So sign the deal and play through the season, make a name for yourself. All right, because all over the NFL, even just the guys on this pod who have talked already have said like, Dak, he's a middle of the road quarterback, So I think, and plus he's on one of, if not the most potent offense, like just based on roster on paper, he has the most weapons to throw to. He's got Zeke in the backfield. He had one of the best O-lines in the league. And it's like, and you're still going like 9-7. So, and one of the best defenses on paper, one of the best teams on paper. So, he really needs to take a step up and show that he is worth the money that he says he is worth, which really no one believes him yet. So, that's what he has to prove for this season.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Graham. He had a great start to last season, but he really started to fall off towards the end, and that's one of the reasons why the Cowboys weren't making it onto that Super Bowl or anything like that. Will they this year? Maybe. It's a possibility. It's America's team. I know it's Chase's favorite team,
Yeah,
but
yeah, my favorite team.
we'll have to stay updated with the Cowboys. Speaking of the Cowboys, though, they may have a new player arriving if a trade can get completed, as Jamal Adams has requested a trade, and it sounds like the Cowboys are his number one target to go to. Jamal Adams, one of the best safeties in the league. He's still incredibly young, but he's sick of the New York Jets.
So here's my thing: if they traded for Jamal Adams, who knows if the Cowboys are even interested? But if they did trade for him, if they wouldn't pay Byron Jones, why the hell would they pay Jamal Adams? Like they're obviously they're like different players, but they're in a similar scenario. You know, there are these tremendous defensive backs who deserve a big payday, and if the Cowboys weren't willing to pay their own guy, who would have been, I know they're like slightly different positions too, but still would have been a cheaper player because they wanted to keep those offensive beasts instead. What would be the point of trading for Jamal Agnew for like a year max, unless you really think you're that good of a team to win the Super Bowl this year? So
yeah, honestly, why would they trade for Jamal Agnew? That would be kind of weird.
Did I keep saying Jamal Agnew?
Yes, you did.
Damn it. All right, Jamal, you guys know what I mean. Jamal Adams. Sorry, I have the better of the two players in my brain. That's why. But yeah, obviously Jamal Adams. He's a great player. But if the Cowboys actually really thought about trading for him, that would make no sense to me. They'd be giving up too much capital for what would probably just be a rental.
Jamal Adams is personally one of my favorite, if not my favorite, defensive player in the NFL, and I don't like the Cowboys, so I'd be really upset if he went there, honestly. But also, the Cowboys do not have the money to sign him. Like, if they want to sign Dak, it'd definitely be between Dak and Jamal Adams. And I think Jamal Adams would be the better side, but I also think that they want to keep their franchise quarterback with Dak Prescott. So I think it'd be a one-and-done thing, and I don't see the Cowboys being a Super Bowl team, so what would even be the point for Jamal Adams to come there? Like, to play one season, maybe win one playoff game and then lose and then not go any further. It just seems like a waste to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, there's no doubt that Jamal Adams is a massive upgrade over Jeff Heath. But
Beauty.
you know, the Cowboys are sitting in the low 20s in cap space with 10 million, and there's like if you bring him over, I mean, obviously you're gonna have to sign him to a new deal, as the guys have said, and they just don't have the money for it. So it's a big splash. It's something that the Cowboys should do if they can, and get him to sign a backloaded deal. But even then, their cap space over the next couple of years is still not good. They have too many stars that they need to pay, and they just paid, Amari. They just paid Zeke. So it's hard, but he wanted to go there, so you never know. He could take a pay cut to go to the team that he wants to.
Yeah, for sure. And now hear me out here. Just think about this. As they are America's team, we all love them. What if they bring over Jamal Adams, pay him instead of Dak? They have a very disappointing year. They take Trevor Lawrence first overall, and then they got Trevor Lawrence on a rookie deal for 4 years plus. No?
No.
Please, no.
Well,
please, God, no.
The issue is, even with Dak Prescott, like, if he played like trash, they're still not getting first overall. Not with that roster, dude.
Yeah, most definitely. But let's now move on to our last little piece of news here surrounding the NFL. And this one hits close to home, at least for you guys. And that's because Martha Ford steps down from being the main owner, main overseer of the Detroit Lions. How's this making you guys feel? I'll go to Graham first because, he was really hurt by this.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, dude. Martha Ford, she's very close to my heart. It's her and Oprah, number 1 and number 2.
Oh.
So yeah. No, to be realistic, I thought it was cool. I mean, when Martha Ford hired Bob Quinn, which was the big thing that she did as owner, I think that she did her due diligence. She got the right people in place to find the right guy. And personally, I think they did. We'll see how that pans out over the next couple of years, but or the next 1 year, depending on how they do. But I think that she was a good owner. She gets a bad rap because the team, struggled and they kept a lot of people don't like Patricia and Bob Quinn, and they're sticking with them for this upcoming year, which I like. I think that's a good thing. But I think it's good that she obviously thought that she was up there in age, and she didn't really want to keep on. She didn't have the energy to keep on doing the job to the best of her ability. So I hope that her daughter is aggressive with the team, and really tries to get that team a playoff berth and a win, please.
Until I see like something big happen, I don't think it's that big of a change, honestly. Like, still in the family, like it's her daughter, like they're obviously at least somewhat close. So I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference in the long run, unless like she comes out and shows me I'm wrong. Like maybe she has some different views for the team, but like I said, I don't see it being that big of a thing, other than the fact that Martha Ford has been with that team for decades. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And like, really, it's not like it's some young fresh mind, like some 30 something coming in. This woman, if I'm not mistaken, she's in her 60s. That's not like it's just some young fresh mind with all these crazy ideas. It's still an older woman. There's still a lot of younger owners in the NFL. Those owners tend to be more aggressive. The older owners tend to be more passive. The Fords have always had that history of being too passive. I think Martha, she did a better job than her husband. He ran the team for so long, he did, and when he passed, she took over, was a little more aggressive, didn't want to, tolerate any more BS like the Lions, the same old Lions that we were used to dealing with. So I think she did better, but there still was not enough accountability. Will her daughter change that? We'll see. I'm not entirely optimistic, but I got to at least remain hopeful as a Lions fan.
Yeah, Chase mentioned, the infusion of youth. Well, I just want to mention she is the pip young age of 68.
Yep, there we go.
Nice. A quick hot take before we get into our fantasy hot take segment. Martha Ford's daughter, very first year she takes over ownership, trades Matthew Stafford. Hot take. All right.
No, who would even trade for Matthew Stafford's contract? Let's be real.
That's a good point. All right. Well, it's time for our fantasy football hot takes. Gentlemen, we'll be doing some hot takes for the NFL, not fantasy-wise, later on, but it is time for hot take and debate. So how this is going to work is we each have 3 hot takes based off of fantasy players. I didn't be specific about whether they can be any type of league or whether they're on your team or not, which I'm going to guess you guys all picked players that are on your team. I did not because, I'm a good person.
Yeah, you're a good person. That's why.
What's going to happen is once we let one of us go, give their hot take, they'll explain why they think this is going to happen. And then we will argue whether we agree or disagree with either way too hot, which means not gonna do it for me, or just hot enough, which means you like the hot take. So let's just kick this off. I'll start it off. I'll be the nice guy. I'll let your guys' nerves settle a little bit, and we'll start with my hot take. So my number 1 hot take: Todd Gurley has a huge bounce back season. Is the steal of most drafts. He will be a top 8 fantasy running back. Right now, he is averaging a 3rd round ADP. He has the 3rd easiest running back schedule this year. And when we look at the Falcons and their history, the Falcons have been one of the better teams when they can get that run game going. Also include the immense amount of targets that is now opened up in Atlanta. I think Todd Gurley has a really big year. Am I worried about his injury? Yeah, a little bit with his arthritis in his knees, but I think he didn't have a giant workload compared to the prior year, last year. I think he's going to do just well enough with the Atlanta Falcons to really be one of the biggest steals in the draft. So that's my hot take. What do you guys think about it? I'll let Chase go first, then we'll go Alec and Graham and get your guys' thoughts.
I absolutely love it. It was almost one of mine, honestly. Not that specific. Like I was gonna say, just an RB1. So top 8's a little more specific than I was gonna go. But I absolutely love it. Like he's one of the most, if not the most talented running backs in the league. He just has the horrible injury concerns. So you got to worry about that. Another Falcons injury-prone running back, just like Devontae Freeman. Obviously, Todd Gurley is significantly more talented. But last year, Todd Gurley stayed, very healthy. He still had double-digit touchdowns. He just saw a lot less touches. So I am a little worried with the touches going back up. Maybe that arthritis concern comes back and causes more injuries. But if he stays healthy with the amount of touches that he's going to get in Atlanta, I'd be absolutely shocked if he doesn't finish as one of the top running backs in the league, because he's getting all the rushing attempts. He's going to get the receiving downs. He's going to be their clear guy, and they have over 200 vacated targets from last year. So he's going to get fed, and if he stays healthy, he is going to be he's going to be the league winner for every fantasy football league.
I think I agree with that. I think that Atlanta was a great place for him to go back in Georgia, where he played college, obviously. And I think he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder, because all these people are thinking like, oh, he's down and out. Like he just got cut by the Rams. I think he's going to have a huge season. I don't know if he's going to repeat what he did, being worth like a number 1 overall pick in fantasy leagues, but I think top 8 is a safe bet. I'd personally probably go more top 12, but I could definitely see it happening.
I like Todd Gurley. I don't really have much to say other than, I think the whole chip on the shoulder thing is a little overrated. If he does good, he does good. He obviously there's injury concerns, but I think he will do pretty well this upcoming year. Years after this year, after he gets a lot more targets than he did last year and carries, I think he might possibly start falling off pretty rapidly. But for this year alone, I think he's ranked by ESPN at like 14 or something. So I don't think it's a huge jump to say he could finish top 12. I think it's it's a decent jump to say he'll finish top 8, but I can definitely see that happening.
Okay, awesome. So that would be a 3-0 unanimous decision that it is possible. We'll now move on to Chase. We'll have him discuss his first hot take, and then we'll start with Alec, and then go to Graham, and then I will finish off the arguments against Chase's hot take.
All right, so most people, when they're coming with hot takes, usually start with like positives for like breakout players or whatever. Start out here with a negative. Zach Ertz finishes outside the top 12 of fantasy tight ends. So you got to remember, they have Zach Ertz, obviously. They have Dallas Goedert. They have all those receivers that they drafted. They have one of the most talented condensed receiver room. I'm not saying like most talented in terms of high end ceiling, but they just have a lot of talent around the same area that deserves to be fed. Obviously, they're rookies, so rookies could easily flop or easily outperform. So it's iffy. That's why I'm putting this in the hot take section. Zach Ertz, he finished as tight end 4 last year. He's currently being drafted like at a 3rd round for some people that might reach, but generally in the 4th round. I think you're much better off grabbing a later round guy. For example, I'd rather take a flyer on Jay Sternberger than draft Zach Ertz. That's something I would rather do. I don't think he's going to be worth it. There's just too many mouths to feed in Philly.
I'm definitely going to have to disagree with you on this one, because last season was a quote-unquote down season for Zach Ertz, and he still finished as the 4th best tight end in football.
Yeah, I think he's declining.
Okay, but I do like Dallas Goedert, but he is not as skilled as Zach Ertz. He's not as acclimated in that offense as Zach Ertz. I don't think that there's any way that he is outside of the top 12. I think that that's way too hot, because of the fact, like you said, they have a young receiver room. They don't know who they can trust, but they do know one person they can trust. That's Zach Ertz. So I think he's still going to be peppered with targets, and I think he is still very skilled. Whether he's declining or not, saying he's outside of the top 12 just seems like out of this world to me.
Yeah, I agree with Alec pretty much. The receivers in Philadelphia I feel like you hyped them up way too much in your intro to this hot take. I think Zach Ertz is pretty much the only trusted target, maybe Alshon Jeffrey of Carson Wentz. So I think he gets, top 1, top 2 target share in that offense. Well, maybe top 3 because Miles Sanders, but I think, he's definitely one of the most trusted and most targeted tight ends in any offense in the league. So with that volume, with that trust with your quarterback, who is a good quarterback, I think Carson Wentz is, I think it's really hard to put him outside top 12.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go a little too hot as well, Chase. I was trying to find the number 12 tight end in fantasy last year real quickly. I couldn't quite find it. I found the number 8, Tyler Higbee. He only had 69 receptions, 734 yards, which is a decent amount for both, but only 3 touchdowns, and he ranked in the top 8. I just feel like being a top 12 tight end really isn't too difficult. And when you have one of the guys, even though you may think he's declining, he is aging, obviously. He is still one of the more talented tight ends in the league. So I'm going to go just a bit too hot. So all of us would disagree with you on this one.
So that's fine. It's obviously a big hot take. That's why I wanted to start off with it. But just keep in mind, first round pick on Jalen Reagor, he's going to get used. They spent second round pick on J.J. Whiteside last year. He's probably done, but they still might want to see what he has because receivers always take a little bit of time to develop. I know they obviously refilled that receiver room, but they still have Alshon. Remember how electric Djax was last year until he got hurt? If he's back healthy, it could be the same type of thing. They also got Marquise Goodwin. They have Greg Ward, who was a sleeper, very consistent player for them at the end of the year last year. They have Miles Sanders who can catch balls. They have Boston Scott who can catch balls. And then Dallas Goedert is just also too good not to feed the tight end position. I think they have too many receivers to run 2 tight end sets, so they're going to have to alternate between those two. It'll be a pretty evenly split amount of downs between the two, so I think the targets will also be evenly split, which just won't be enough to feed them both in the top 12 tight end.
How do you think that it's going to be evenly split between Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert? I get that Dallas Goedert is younger, but I mean Zach Ertz is a very, very good tight end. So I don't think
Dallas Goedert is a very, very good tight end. Dallas Goedert's a very, very talented tight end. If you watch what he did last year, look at his numbers. Last year he had 58 receptions, 607 yards, 5 touchdowns when he was playing second fiddle to Zach Ertz. He's going to be getting more opportunities. He's the younger option. He's the cheaper option. They're going to want to see what they have in him. And there might be a time where they need to move on from Zach Ertz. Maybe they need to pay other players, like obviously not this year or next year, but when Miles Sanders comes up for contract extension, if they have to choose between Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, they're going to choose Dallas Goedert because he's the cheaper option and he's produced pretty similarly.
I think that we're going to see the Eagles do a lot of 2 tight end sets, and I could see both being very viable. I still think Zach Ertz finishes in the top 12, but I think Goddard and Ertz are better than the outside weapons that the Eagles have right now. I think they're all very subpar around the wide receiver 3 to flex range when you look at fantasy-wise wide receivers there. So I think the 2 tight ends will be more prominent than the many wide receivers. But let's now move on to our next hot take. Graham, I'll let you take this one away. I know Alec wanted to go last in the first round just to make sure he gets the right hot take that he wants. So Graham, we'll let you go first. Alec, you can respond first, and then Chase will take it, and then I'll finish it off.
Alrighty. My first hot take is that Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys will not be a top 10 running back in Fantasy 2020. He's currently ranked number 2 in ESPN Standard. You lost Travis Frederick. He started off slow last year, and he picked it up, but he's a year older now. You got CeeDee Lamb, who, that's a huge talent infusion in the passing game, and I think they're going to use Tony Pollard more in downs. So I think he's going to really struggle if he can be the Zeke that we know and love, then awesome. But I think the Dallas Cowboys are moving more towards a passing team instead of a pure running team. So I think Zeke's going to lose out on a lot of touches that he had.
I'm going to probably have to go a little too hot, but I do understand where you're coming from. If I knew there's the state of their offensive line just a little bit better, I'd be able to pick a side on here, but I think I am going to have to go a little too hot just because Zeke is still one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. I think if you said outside of the top 5, it wouldn't be too hot, but outside of the top 10, I personally cannot name 9 running backs, so I genuinely think we'll do better. Or not 9, 10, because you're outside. So I genuinely can't think of 10 running backs that will do better than Zeke Elliott. No, I can't. I don't even think I could do 5.
Really? I feel like that I could probably name some, but Chase can go first, and then I'll try and name some.
So you're saying the Cowboys are going to be a more pass-oriented offense? Last year they averaged the second most passing yards per game, so I don't really know how else you beat that.
They're going to be first.
They can be first. They still threw for almost 300 yards a game, which is a still very high number in the NFL, even in the high-volume passing offense that it is. Zeke is too good to not get the ball. He's going to still get receptions. He's still going to get carries. He's easily finishing in the top 10 pending injury. He's just too talented not to. And the passing offense, it might be more a passing offense. They could improve to 310 yards per game, which would be astronomically high. That I don't know for sure. That sounds like it could be a possible record setter to me. But so that's something that could be very possible. But Zeke is still going to get those guaranteed touches healthy. He's still going to get those receptions. He's still going to get those touchdowns. He's going to get the red zone attempts. He's just their guy. He's by far the driving point of that offense.
To Alec, I think it's possible. It's a hot take. I don't absolutely think this is going to happen. But 10 names that I think could end up above Zeke. CMC, obviously. Saquon. Dalvin Cook. Kamara, probably. That's 4. Derrick Henry, probably. Or maybe. Even, I think Nick Chubb. Joe Mixon. That's 7. Josh Jacobs, I think, possibly. Austin Eckler. Maybe, Aaron Jones. Hey, maybe Miles Sanders, eh?
Aaron Jones had 18 touchdowns last year. That's at least getting cut in half.
Miles Sanders, Austin
Miles
Eckler.
Sanders better,
What
baby.
are some of these names? Austin Eckler, I guarantee, will not sniff 1,000 yards rushing.
Hey, I have a quick on-the-spot hot take. This wasn't one of mine, but I want to mention it real quick anyway. Nick Chubb finishes closer to bottom at RB2 than RB1.
Terrible take.
Kareem Hunt's there all season.
Yo,
Kareem Hunt is there all season. He's
terrible,
too good to not feed.
Terrible. You said bottom end RB2.
Closer to that than top end RB1.
You think he's going to be closer to 24 than he is to
1.
12?
No, to 1. To
No,
top
you said
end
RB1.
I meant to say top end RB1.
Like the number 1 RB?
Yeah. Like he finished closer to bottom. Like so that'd be really. Like
So you think he's between 13 and 24?
Yeah,
than 12?
I think yeah.
Well,
essentially, finishes an RB2.
He was like what last year? Like 8 or 9?
Yeah. And
So is it hot? Is that hot?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go back to Graham's. I'm gonna go back to Graham's point. Graham, that is just hot enough for me. I love it. I just traded away Zeke Elliott and got CeeDee Lamb in return. So if they go more pass oriented, I absolutely love that hot take. I'm all on board.
That wasn't just a trade. If that was just a trade, you should have to quit fantasy football.
Yeah, no,
mention that.
That obviously wasn't just the trade, but just absolutely phenomenal. I love that hot take. So it's going to be a 1-2 not possible for Graham's first hot take. Let's now move on to Alec's first hot take. Alec, what are you thinking?
I am going to say that Sam Darnold will be a top 12 QB. I think that it's finally his time. I think last year he would have done a lot better if he didn't get mono. They added pieces. They added Denzel Mims, who I think is going to be a big factor there. They're going to have Chris Herndon back, who I think is a very underrated tight end. O-line, not bad. I think them also having Le'Veon Bell in the mix is going to help him a lot. Like I originally had expected, when he first signed there, but I'm all on the Sam Darnold train. I think that he is going to be a QB1 this year, and I'm excited to see him play.
I will take the next word, and that's just hot enough for me. I 100% agree. I think Sam Darnold is a legit talent. Some people are... Sam Darnold's a really polarizing player, and not just the fantasy world and the football world in general. Some people think he's got the tools, to be this top 6 to top 8 quarterback easy, maybe even higher. Some people think he should be done. They should move on. I think he's got those tools. You can break down his film. He makes all the right throws. The whole I'm seeing ghost thing, that was just a horrible look for him. But he really at the end of the day, it's just a quarterback, getting overwhelmed, playing that Unreal Patriots defense last year is when he said it. So he's going to come in this year, better options. I think Lev Bell has a much improved year. Maybe not top 6 RB, but I think Lev Bell has the possibility of sneaking into the RB1 area. So Sam Darnold's really going to benefit off that, plus the receiving options. Chris Herndon's going to be healthier this year. The team is just in a much better position, in my opinion, for the passing offense than they were last year, and he'll be ready to go.
Good take. Good take. All right. That is what I like to hear, Alec. That is a great take. I think he is the best talent out of that draft class. Wait, no, not true.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. Out of the top 31, he was the best talent at quarterback. Yeah, Mike and I talked about this earlier. Not on pod, but we said Patrick Mahomes finishes number 1. Sam Darnold finishes number 2.
No.
And that's the way it's going to be. That is the way it's going to be. Mike,
God, no.
can I hear a 3-0 is possible?
You absolutely cannot. No. See, he is going to be. I am extremely confident in Sam Darnold. I absolutely love Sam Darnold, and actually, I will give it a possible. I'm kind of iffy on this one because it kind of aligns with my next hot take. So I'll give it a possible because I do have so much confidence in Sam Darnold. The only thing I worry about is Chase talked about how the weapons are much better this year. They are, but they still suck.
Well,
let's be honest.
They do. Like they do definitely still suck compared to a lot of teams, but they are improved. And like he just has better options. And he made like great throws last year, but the receiving options were just so bad that they were like failing on those great throws. And he's gonna make more of those great throws. That happens as you get older as a quarterback. He's getting into the age where quarterbacks really take that big jump. It's like he's in a good position, but the biggest issue, especially for fantasy wise, is the rushing volume, in my opinion. But I still think he gets there. But continue, sir.
I really like Sam Darnold, and I think he can be a top 12 quarterback every single year. I think he still needs a little bit more help because Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims, Josh Doxson, Chris Herndon, those being your top 4 passing options, not including Lev Bell, the running back, is not very good, to be honest. I hope Denzel Mims does well as a rookie. He was one of my favorite rookies coming into this draft, so we'll have to find out. But I'm going to go just hot enough because I can really see him being between that 14 and 10 range. If he slips out, it's not that big of a deal, but if he slips in, then obviously we'd all be right. But let's now move on to my next hot take. It aligns perfectly with this one. It's talking about a QB1 yet again, and this time it's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, as you guys know, I'm not his biggest supporter. I'm not his biggest fan. Well, I am kind of his biggest supporter because he's on my Bengals team now.
I'm a bigger supporter than you are.
I'm not his biggest fan. I think he has some flaws in his game. Not overly athletic, not an overly powerful or great arm. He's very average, but the way he thinks the game and the way he sees defenses is absolutely extraordinary. And if he can bring that to the NFL level, he's got A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, John Ross, Auden Tate, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Gio Bernard. He's got so many weapons that I think he could easily be a top 12 quarterback.
I will 100% agree. I think it is very possible. I can say it's more likely than not going to happen, just even though I think he is going to be a tremendous NFL quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks still always have a tough transition. So I'll agree with it though, because I do think it definitely is possible, even though it's more likely not to happen. And I really think that you're not giving him enough credit for his athleticism. Sure, he's not just a pure runner. Like you're not gonna get 600 rushing yards out of him, for example. But he's got enough escapability where he can make throws on the run. The ball goes exactly where he wants it to go. He does not throw inaccurate passes. I know there's gonna be smaller pockets in the NFL. He's gonna have a lot more pressure, a lot less time to throw. So it's going to be an adjustment for him. That's why it makes it a little iffy. But he's got enough athleticism and good throw and run ability where it's really not going to be that much of an issue.
Just quickly before Alec jumps in here and gives his opinions, those are the same exact arguments that are made for Baker Mayfield being an elite quarterback. Just saying. And
I think he's better than you. I think Baker's better than all three. You think he is?
I don't think. I mean, you don't think he's an elite quarterback.
I don't think he's there, but I think he's still better than all three. All you three think he is.
Also, Baker Mayfield, he can definitely get out of the pocket. He's not a running quarterback, but he can definitely get out of there, keep plays alive. But he's very average athletically.
Yeah, but
he
still also doesn't throw the ball like Burrow.
Chase, like I joke around about Baker Mayfield, but I actually think that he is going to be a good NFL talent. I think he had a really great rookie year, and he struggled last year. I think he'll have a bounce back.
Yeah, I got him in like the 15th round of our dynasty startup. Well, why not take that shot, dude? That's tremendous value. So it's if he flops, he flops. Whatever.
Quickly, what's better value, Baker Mayfield in the 15th or Jared Goff in the 18th?
Baker in the 15th.
I think both suck. Yeah, I would agree though. I think Baker's probably better just because he can actually throw an accurate pass. But I don't know. Alec, what are your thoughts on Burrow being a top 12 quarterback this year?
I'd say just hot enough. I am not as huge on Joe Burrow as Chase is, but I'm not as down on him as you are, Mike. I do think he has skill. but the weapons in Cincinnati are just way too good for him not to succeed. I think Joe Mixon, I'm a big Joe Mixon believer. I think he is a great running back. AJ Green, I think, is due for a bounce back year. I love Tyler Boyd. I just think the only problem is we need to see what that O-line can do. If that O-line can improve, I think this is a surefire home run. Joe Burrow's going to be nuts. He's going to be great. But when he was at LSU, he had so much time because their O-line was absolutely nuts. So I think we're really going to see if he can handle pressure with a not-so-great O-line with the Bengals. But I'd say just hot enough because I think the weapons there are just too good not to say that.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this one. I'll say just hot enough, just to be the nice guy. But I think most likely he'll probably be, a top QB2. But just because he's a rookie and he has to get acclimated to the offense, it is a good offense. I think he has a lot of weapons to throw to. He has Joe Mixon, who is one of the better running backs in the league. But being a rookie, I think, other than, the occasional really, really talented guy or the one-hit wonder, you don't really ever have a ton of really great rookie campaigns in fantasy. So I really hope that he does well because I not just as much, but close to as much as I want the Lions to succeed, I would like to see the Bengals succeed. So, and if Joe Burrow succeeds, the Bengals will as well. So good luck.
Absolutely. I love that from you, Graham. Thank you very much. So that's a 3-0. We will now move on to Chase Crawshaw with his second hot take. I've got a feeling this is going to be another 0-3 against Chase because he is just going way too hot.
It will be because you guys were all against this last year, and it happened. So last year I said Josh Allen, top 7, and you guys even gave me top 8 fantasy QB. Well, he finished at 6. Well, this year Josh Allen will be a top 4 fantasy quarterback. He's got the rushing. He's taken a jump in his throwing game. He has Stephon Diggs, a much better receiving option. Dawson Knox is going to take another leap. The running game is now more secure with Devin Singletary in his second year and rookie Zach Moss. It's going to cause a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Questionability, I guess, on what exactly they're going to do on the play. The offense is taking a massive jump. They're going to have... they're going to have a pretty good chance at winning the division this year. That's obviously not a fantasy-related thing. But I think it's going to be on the back of Josh Allen carrying the team, making the big jump, finishing as a top 4 fantasy quarterback.
Okay. I'm going to keep myself more composed here than I have been in the past about Josh Allen. They are a run-first team. You cannot have a quarterback that is not named Lamar Jackson as a top 4 fantasy quarterback in a run-first team. Josh Allen has the legs to get those first downs and rushing yards here and there, and maybe the occasional rushing touchdown.
10 rushing touchdowns last year, not the occasional.
Okay, but guess what? You said earlier in the podcast, you said Aaron Jones had 18. That's that's so unheard of. Well, guess what?
For a running back with Aaron Jones' talent, yeah.
Okay, well, I'd be willing to bet that Josh Allen cuts his rushing touchdowns in half.
$20.
Just like you said, Aaron Jones would cut his in half.
$20.
Okay, $20 says Josh Allen does not have more than 5 rushing touchdowns.
Deal. I love that. Okay, I'll take check or cash.
Okay, we'll see. But I do think they got an upgrade at receiver with Stephon Diggs, but the fact that they drafted another running back who I think they are going to give carries to shows that they are committed to being a run-first team. So I do not even remotely see him breaking the top 5. I say top 12 is fair just because of his running ability, but I don't think he breaks the top 5.
Dude, just so you know, he was number 6 last year, and one guy above him is not a starter this upcoming year, Jameis Winston. So take him out of the equation. He, if everything were exactly the same, he'd finish as quarterback 5 this upcoming year. So,
but your hot take was top 4.
Yeah, I still think he finishes top 4.
Okay, Graham, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's too hot. Top 4 is reserved for guys like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Matthew
Patrick Mahomes was 8 last year.
That's it.
Matthew Stafford.
Patrick Mahomes was 8 last year.
He was injured.
How many games did he miss? Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes missed 2 games.
I don't care. Okay? Josh Allen is not that good of a quarterback to finish top 4 in fantasy.
Great for fantasy. He's great for fantasy. That's what you need in fantasy.
But Lamar Jackson can run better.
Yeah, obviously Lamar Jackson's finishing number one. That's pretty obvious. Lamar Jackson averaged 28 fantasy points last year. Obviously.
But last hot take, we already determined that it's Patrick Mahomes and Sam Darnold. There's only two spots left, and Matthew Stafford has to be in there.
You know what, Graham? I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think it's too hot.
I'm going to give Chase a too hot as well, just because I think, can Josh Allen repeat? Very possible, maybe even likely, maybe in that 5, 6, 7, 8 range, but I reserve my top 4 for Lamar, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a really big season. If you said top 5, I would say possible. Top 4 is just a little too hot for me. So
I didn't think top 5 was spicy enough. I wanted all these takes to not be agreed with, pretty much. Yeah. So I didn't think top 5 was spicy enough. I thought I'd have at least one agree there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's now move on to Graham's next hot take. Graham, number 2, go ahead and spit it.
This one is a little spicy. David Johnson will finish top 5 in running backs in fantasy 2020. He's currently ranked number 16. Carlos Hyde last year, as the Texans starter, had 1,070 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns, and he sucks. So David Johnson is much more talented and is a bigger threat in the passing game. Without DeAndre Hopkins, he will be a big target in the passing game as well. And D. Watts is one of the best, quarterbacks in the league. So top 5.
See, I think the Texans' offense takes a big dip this year. As much as I love Deshaun Watson, he's so good, but there's just not enough talent. And I'm so wary on David Johnson. I think he will be great for the receiving game, but I don't trust him as a runner. He's never had a great rushing average, and he's got the injury concern. If he stays healthy all year and he's used as the main guy, then sure, it's possible just because the options are gonna be so depleted. But I don't like accounting for injury, but he's one of those guys you kind of just have to account for injury because it's bound to happen every year. And then the rushing, as I said, the rushing average has never been a number that's been so high in his career. He's going to need a high volume of rushing attempts to hit those rushing yards with the receiving or the receiving downs. So that's too hot for me.
I am also going to say too hot. I am a little on the fence about this. If it was a guarantee that he could stay healthy all year, I'd be a little closer to saying just hot enough, but I'm going to say too hot, mainly because Duke Johnson's still there, and I think he is a great pass-catching running back, so I think he's definitely going to take some of those targets away from David Johnson. And even without D-Hops, I still think – I'm not saying that their wide receiver room is talented, but they have a lot of people there. So I think – it's a little too hot, but I am also close to saying just hot enough. But with Duke Johnson there and that offense also taking a dip, still not having an amazing O-line, it's definitely better. But I don't see that happening.
I would have to agree with the other two. I think it's too hot. However, I am not as down as Chase is with David Johnson. I actually think David Johnson is going to be a league winner this year. Guy is not going in the top 5 rounds. I don't even know where he's going, 8th or 9th round, I think, is where his ADP is. And I think that could be a league winner for him. We know the talent. Unfortunately, injuries have held him back, but he's going to be that key guy in that Texans offense, and I think he's going to get fed. But at the same time, I think he's going to be getting, double teamed a little bit, get 8 people in the box. So although I do think he's a league winner at his draft position, I don't think top 5 is very achievable for him. All right, so that puts it at a 0-3. That is way too hot, Graham. And now we move on to Alec. Alec, with your second hot take, what do you got?
This is also a pretty spicy one. DeAndre Hopkins will not be a top 8 receiver. I'm not denying his talent. I think he is definitely one of the most skilled wide receivers in the NFL. But I just think there are so many mouths to feed in Arizona. I like Kyler a lot. I think he's in for a big year, but I just don't think that D-Hops will get the target share that he has seen in the past. So I still think he'll be top 12, top 15. He's going to be around there, but I don't see him finishing in the top 8 and being worth a first-round pick. Just like I said, too many mouths to feed, and Kyler was even trying to get more people. Like he was trying to get CeeDee Lamb to come there. Like he wanted more people, more weapons. Like that makes me think maybe he doesn't want to just throw to DeAndre Hopkins. He wants to spread the ball out. So that's just my thinking on that.
Oh, Alec. I agree 100%. It's scaring me a little bit, but no, I agree absolutely 100,000%. I think they have one of the deeper receiving cores in the league. Larry Fitz is still getting the ball. Christian Kirk's still getting the ball. I think healthy Akeem Butler and Andy Isabella get their opportunities. You got Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds in the backfield who are, like Kenyon Drake's obviously the more talented of the two, but Chase Edmonds, when he is out there, he's still a very effective player. Obviously, the tight end's a little shaky, but Kyler also, he has that running ability too. I think passing-wise, you're going to see a similar thing in kind of what, the Patriots have always had, where sometimes 8 or 9 guys catch the ball in a game. I think that's going to be a very prominent thing in the Cardinals offense. I do not want to buy any Cardinals receivers in fantasy football. I'm all in on Kyler Murray 100,000%. I'm in on Kenyon Drake too, but when it comes to the receivers, I am out.
Honestly, what more can I say? Chase said it all. I agree with Chase 100%. You know what? I'm not going to say anything.
I love you, Graham.
Okay, perfect. Well, I am also going to agree. I think it's just hot enough. DeAndre Hopkins finished the number 5 last year, and he was really the only consistent wide receiver for Deshaun Watson. He now goes to a new system, a quarterback that I don't think is as good as Deshaun Watson when it comes to the passing game, and then there's way too many weapons there as well. So I would agree he's not going to be a top 8 wide receiver. It's just tough because we've talked about DeAndre Hopkins as being, a top 3 talent in the league for many, many years. So saying he's not going to be a top 8 is a bit tough.
I just also want one more thing I want to throw in. DeAndre Hopkins is so much better for Kyler Murray than Kyler Murray is for DeAndre Hopkins, and it's not even close.
That's a very good point.
100%.
So I guess that wasn't as spicy as I was expecting it to be.
No, he's obviously got the talent where he could easily do that. I think he's just the most pure talented receiver in the league. Some people are with me, some people are against me. That's fine either way. I'm not going to die on that hill, but I think that's where he is. So, it is possible, but there's just too much talent, really.
Yeah, most definitely. Does that bring it back to me now?
It does.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say the hot take, not explain why I think this, and let your guys' minds run with it. So my final hot take: Michael Pittman will be the best performing rookie wide receiver this year.
Agreed. Agreed. I think he will be the number 1 receiving option on that team too, to make it even hotter. Michael Pittman is the dude's got legit talent. He's one of those receivers who he's ready to play in the NFL. He's got the build. He has enough speed. He has enough separation ability. He runs a good route tree. He's just got enough talent. Phillip Rivers is a very consistent thrower. He loves throwing to his receivers. He'll throw to his backs if needed, but he loves throwing to the receiving options. And then just Michael Pittman's just got too much talent, and he's going to get open too often, where I think that offense has a really good year personally because of the threat of that really great running game with Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor, plus the receivers and the quarterback now. So I'm all in on that.
All right, Alec?
I also agree. Only because I think there's one receiver that was drafted this year that could take that from him, and that is Justin Jefferson on the Vikings. But I would say just hot enough because I love Michael Pittman, and I think people still respect T.Y. Hilton, but I think that they are going to be more focused on T.Y. Hilton, meaning that Michael Pittman is going to be getting more opportunities to catch the ball and be great. And I think he's the perfect type of receiver to have, for Phillip Rivers. So I definitely agree with that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. No. Justin Jefferson is going to be the best one. That was one of my hot takes that I had. Extra, I think that he was going to be the best rookie wide receiver in 2020 because, he instantly takes that wide receiver 2 role in Minnesota. I don't think that Michael Pittman will instantly take the number 1. I think he will be the number 2. Justin Jefferson is more talented than Michael Pittman. And I like Kirk Cousins as a quarterback throwing to him more. So yeah. But I'm willing to say he's top 3 in rookies. Maybe
easy.
I feel like that's even a hot take. So
no, I think that's easy. He's top 3 receiver if healthy.
I think Phillip Rivers is. I think Phillip Rivers is one of the best fantasy quarterbacks for his wide receivers. I guess is how I should say it.
He's better for his receivers than receivers are better for him.
Yeah, and
opposite of the Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins thing.
And with Michael Pittman coming in, being the number 2 right away, I mean, he's got to beat out like Zach Pascal, which he did all right last year, but I think Michael Pittman is definitely the better player. I could see Justin Jefferson for sure, but I would rather have, if I've got a fantasy wide receiver, I'd rather Phillip Rivers throw into him than Kirk Cousins, as well as I think Adam Thielen is better than T.Y. Hilton, so he's going to take a couple more targets than T.Y. would. So that's why I got Michael Pittman, but I like to hear it. I'm glad no one came out and said Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb will be the number 1, although I think they're incredibly talented and they were my top 2 wide receivers coming into this draft. There's just too many question marks around the other players that are in the wide receiver room or even the quarterback. So good points there. I should have known because obviously I teach you guys everything about football and I wouldn't say something so stupid like that.
You know who's not even going to be in the conversation of like top 10 rookie wide receiver? T. Higgins, dude.
Both those guys I would say are, that's pretty obvious. I mean, T. Higgins next year is going to be fantastic, but actually I lied. Quintez Cephas, wide receiver 1 this year, all fantasy.
Hey, Graham.
Mike.
This is your last episode on the show. Sorry.
Well, boys, it's been a good ride.
All right, let's now move on to Chase's final hot take. You can take away, Chase, and then we'll let Alec answer first.
So I had 2 here I was kind of deciding between. I'm going to go... the one that I had was on the same team, so I'm going to go with a different one. Marquise Brown is going to finish as a top 16 wide receiver. This is, of my 3 hot takes, this is the one I'm the least sold on, but I still think it is very possible. He had a nice year last year for a rookie receiver. You wanted a little better, being really like the number 1 option at that receiving position. Obviously, Mark Andrews is just as a receiver in general is their main guy, but Marquise Brown will have to take a big jump this year. They're gonna have either Miles Boykin, Endeavor doing it, or James Prochet on the outside, with him. So it's gonna be. He really, what I'm trying to say is he needs to take that big jump this year if he wants to be considered one of the guys and really be used in offense going forward. So I think he will take that big jump at the end of the day, be a top 16 receiver. I think Lamar is going to be a little more of a passer. He only threw 401 passes last year, Lamar. I think he's going to have to throw the ball more because if you run that much with his build, he's going to get beat up too easily. They're going to say, hey, what you did last year was tremendous, but we need you to stay healthy. We need you to stay in the pocket a little more. Maybe like Lamar drops 300 to 400 rushing yards and then turns that into 500 or 600 extra passing yards with an extra 50 to 100 attempts. I think that's enough for Marquise Brown to get there.
I'm gonna say just not enough. I like that. I definitely agree that I think Lamar should try to stay in the pocket a little bit more and pass more because he definitely showed his hand last season. They definitely showed he is a run-first quarterback. He's not a pass-first. And I think they need to develop that a little bit better to the point where Lamar Jackson should throw an extra 60 to 100 passes in a season so that offense can be more versatile and not just rely on his running ability. And with Marquise Brown being the number 1 receiver there, well, I mean, I think I'd say Mark Andrews is the number 1, but since he's a tight end, I'm going to say Marquise Brown is the number 1 actual receiver on that team. So I'd say just not enough. I think it's possible, just solely based on the fact that I think that they need to kind of switch up the offense a little bit, not be as run heavy, but also to contradict that, I want to see how they use J.K. Dobbins as well. I think that he could eat up some targets too, so that could take some away from Marquise Brown. But since we don't know how that's going to go, I'm going to say just not enough.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's I like it a lot. I think Marquise Brown is a really talented young wide receiver. He's extremely fast. He is a very good complement, in my opinion, to Lamar Jackson. I agree with what you guys said about them needed to lock down Lamar Jackson's passing game, kind of improve that a bit, and I think it will. Last year was only his second year, so the third-year jump, I think it should be real in the passing game for Lamar Jackson, and that's really scary with a guy with his talent level in the run game. So I like it a lot.
Absolutely not. Are you guys high? Top 16? Top half of a wide receiver, too? Are you kidding me? Okay, let's talk about it. So, J.K. Dobbins comes in. You think they're going to go similar or less on the run game? No. Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins are going to pound that rock like no other. Then we look at Lamar Jackson, Marquise Brown. Alec, you mentioned that Lamar Jackson showed his hand last year. So did Marquise Brown. After the first 4 weeks, he was like a wide receiver. He was like the third best wide receiver because they just flew down on straight routes and were able to connect on touchdowns like every single game. It's great to have a deep threat option, but teams are going to know about that now. They obviously knew about it later in the year. I'm also worried about both Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown's health. You know, both are smaller guys. Both are a little bit more frail guys. So are they going to be able to play all the time? Maybe not. I don't know. Obviously, we don't want to factor that into projections, but top 16 is way too high for me. I don't think Lamar is as prolific as a passer to do that for Marquise Brown. I also don't think Marquise Brown is refined enough as a wide receiver to get it done. And also, the Ravens are just going to be pounding the rock nonstop. So definitely not a top 16 wide receiver in my mind. That is way too hot, Chase. Get out of my kitchen.
It feels like a kitchen. It's hot as frickin' here.
All right, let's move on to Alec. You can go with your final hot take, and then we'll round it off with Graham because I know Graham's got something super hot for us.
I am between two here, so this is a very tough decision.
If we want Graham to go first, we can.
You know what? Yeah, I'll let Graham go because maybe he'll give me some insight on which one I should pick.
All right, Graham, you're up next. What are we looking at?
All right, Alec. Let's hope this helps you. T.J. Hawkinson.
Nope.
The Hawk.
Terrible already. Way too hot.
Top 5 in tight ends.
Ooh.
Top 5, baby. Yeah. All right. Best tight end talent coming out of the draft in a very long time. And out of all the positions that struggle as being rookies, tight ends are one of the most difficult positions to play as a rookie. So obviously he struggled as a rookie. But he will emerge as a top 5 tight end under the Matthew Stafford-led Lions.
Tight end 1, sure. Top 5, no, because Kenny Golladay. This is my fourth hot take that I had. Kenny Golladay will finish as a top 4 wide receiver in fantasy with Matthew Stafford healthy. So Kenny Golladay is going to have too much of the attention. He's too good to not throw the ball to. Then Marvin Jones is the number 2. And who knows if DJ Hawkinson will even be the number 3. Maybe they go DeAndre Swift as the number 3. Maybe they go Danny Amendola as the number 3. Who knows if Hawk will even be the number 3. So as the number 4 option on that offense, there's just no chance.
I guarantee you he will be the number 3 because DeAndre Swift is not going to have enough snaps to get the number 3. And Danny Amendola is a slot guy who will only get, he will not be more targets than TJ Hawkinson.
$20 on the top 5 tight end for TJ Hawkinson.
No. No, it's a hot take. $20 on TJ Hawkinson being the 3rd target.
At the end of the year, finishing 3rd targets? You know what?
In Detroit.
Yeah, screw it. I'll take that bet. I got a job now that's paying me. I can take the bet. Why not?
Nice. Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, I am also going to say
WNP bet of the year. Let's go.
Me and Chase already made one earlier in this pod. Okay, I agree with Chase. This is way too hot. I like Hawk. I like him a lot, but they just added another running back. They are going to be running quite a bit, I feel like, and passing to running backs quite a bit. And like Chase said, I don't see Hawk being the 3rd target there. I think it's going to be Amendola or one of the running backs. It's just, I don't see it. I don't even see Hawk having that big of a lead on tight end snaps on the lines. I think I do think he will lead them in snaps. I'm not saying he won't. But I think Jesse James is going to be getting more snaps than you'd like to think. So, way too hot.
Smooth.
I unfortunately agree with that part. I hate Jesse James. I'm not. That signing really sucks looking back on it. But you paid the guy. You got to use him.
Yeah. I'm gonna just say way too hot and leave it at that. Alec, you're up.
Okay. That did not give me any insight on which one I should pick. So,
pick the second one.
Choose the second
Okay,
one,
so I'll
yeah.
pick the second one. All right, Matt Breida will be a RB2 or better if healthy.
All right, choose the
Choose
first
the first
one. That ain't hot.
Wait, you think that's realistic?
Yeah.
I think that's easy.
I think he's going to be the number one back in Miami. I don't think Jordan Howard really has much juice left. I think Breida, if he stays healthy, he's going to be very good.
Dang, I thought that was one of my hotter takes. All right, I mean, I can do my other one if no one
Yeah,
thinks that's
yeah,
a hot
let's do
take.
that one.
Yeah. Do
All
the
right,
first one.
all right. Zach Moss will outscore Devin Singletary
that one.
in both standard and PPR.
In
Half
Yikes.
PPR.
Where did you buy your math?
Okay, let me explain. I think that Devin Singletary will not stay healthy this season. I think he's good to miss at least 2 games.
Yeah.
That being said, I think Zach Moss will play all 16. Also, Zach Moss was a solid receiver in college. Well, like out of the running back position, he is a better pure runner. I think he's a better goal line back, meaning more touchdowns. So I just think that Zach Moss is better than Devin Singletary in general. So I think that they are going to be similar for touches, but I think Zach Moss is going to lead in touchdowns, yards, and points.
Guarantee you Devin Singletary has more receptions between the two at the end of the year. I've got $40 invested, so I can't. So I'm not making any sort of bets on this one. I don't want to make 3 bets in one episode, but I'm a huge Devin Singletary believer. I'm a huge Devin Singletary truther. I think he's got legit talent. I just think he's too good to not get the ball in every situation but the goal line. So sure, Zach Moss is going to eat those goal line touches. He'll probably have more touchdowns at the end of the year. I think Singletary will have more yards and then more receptions to the point where, like, I think it could be close, but I still think Singletary, will get the edge by at least a bit.
I do think that Singletary will lead in receptions. I'm not denying that fact. But I do think Zach Moss is going to get more receptions than people would think. And I also am a big Devin Singletary guy, but I think that, like I said, I gave my reasonings. I just think Zach Moss will outscore him.
Yeah, Zach Moss will be a good number 2, but he's not gonna. Yeah, I agree with Chase. I'm not as big as a Singletary truther as Chase is, but I think undoubtedly Singletary is a more talented back than Zach Moss, and he has a year in the offense. So I think that gives him a leg up on Zach Moss. That with the talent and being in the system, he's just not gonna be able to do it.
All right. Alec, take it down to he will be a better fantasy back than Singletary in standard, and I will agree with you because I think Moss definitely steals some touchdowns away from Devin Singletary. PPR is just a little bit too much for me, and I'm going to side with my father, Mr. Mitchelson. He's not a Singletary guy. And that means I'm not a Singletary guy.
You were a Singletary guy coming out of college.
And that means Zach Moss is the way to go. Zach Moss is going to definitely vulture some touchdowns from Singletary. I'm going to say just hot enough.
Alrighty. That's a dub.
Chase is not happy with me. Chase is a Bills truther. Obviously, you heard him about Josh Allen and Devin Singletary.
I love the Bills.
Not sure.
Still slept on.
Not sure why he hasn't come out and just announced that he is a Bills fan rather than a Lions fan.
Bills are my second favorite NFL team.
No, rather than a Lions.
Nothing will beat the Lions. As much as that team makes me want to just find the tallest building I can find, nothing will ever supplant the Lions.
Okay, all right.
Why does it make you want to find the tallest building you can find?
Graham, you're smart enough. Put it together.
Perfect. All right. Well, that'll do it.
Shout it from the rooftops. I love the Bills.
All right. That'll do it for the episode, guys. We want to thank you for stopping by. If you guys could leave us a like, comment, subscribe, make sure to hit that bell. We are on YouTube. We are also on Spotify and a couple other platforms now as well, so make sure to check them out there. Leave us any type of rating you guys can. 5 stars is very, very appreciated. And let us know what you guys thought was the hottest take of them all. We're going to bring more hot take episodes, more NFL episodes. We're going to be more consistent now that we're off of our break. So we will definitely talk to you guys very soon. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do, you can follow us at WNP Sports Pod on Twitter. That's again at WNP Sports Pod on Twitter. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, we're not professionals.